Oh, is it?
Different mics, I guess. They took our buttons away.
It is 7 o'clock, February the 17th, 2016. I'd like to call the regularly monthly meeting of the Helotes Economic Development Corporation meeting to order. We have Rick and Glenn for staff. We're missing Carl Hale is the only member not in attendance since we have a letter of resignation from Kathy Oliver. She said she wouldn't be here tonight. So the first thing is citizens to be heard. Did we have anybody sign up, Glenn?
No, sir.
Okay, we have no citizens to be heard. The next thing is the consent agenda, items 2 through 6. Approval of the regular minutes for the joint work session and the December 16th meeting, monthly revenue expenditure report, quarterly investment report, and the 2016 work plan, and an item that we have something on here later to pass. We need to pay some additional money to Terra Design Group for a historical survey, which was approved in our original document, but no dollar amount was put on that because at the time we didn't know the cost of it. If anybody has any questions on any of these items, we can pull them, and the revised work plan on here, if I understand it correctly, is our strategic plan, and the only real revisions to it are changing some of the language in it to past tense instead of present tense on the historical portion of the document. So there's no changes other than what we approved in the last meeting. Does anybody have any questions they want to bring up on any of these items? We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve the agenda by Keith, seconded by my old buddy over here. So that is up for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next thing on the agenda is a presentation by Retail Strategies. If I understand that correctly, Glenn's going to bring that up on the screen, and we're going to do it by video conference. We'll proceed with that.
Welcome to Ready Access by... That entry is not valid. Please enter your access code, followed by the pound sign.
That's typical, isn't it? That's typical.
Thank you. Please stand by. You will now be placed into conference.
Hello.
Hi, this is Rick Schroeder. You have all the board members here, and we are logging into the web conference right now.
Wonderful. Hello, Helotes. How's everyone doing tonight? Great. Are y'all ready for the code to log into the glance screen?
Yes, we are.
Session key.
Yes.
It's 1017.
So notice 1017.
It looks like y'all connected. Can you see our screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. And can everyone hear me clearly?
Sort of.
Now I
Hello?
think
Can y'all hear us?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. started. My name is Ashton Arrington, and I just want to thank you all for having us here tonight to talk to you. And I want to introduce everyone who we have on the team. Can you go ahead and the next slide? Here tonight we have Wade Robinette and Joe Fackel. They're two executives here at Retail Strategies. And then we have myself, Ashton Arrington. I'm the client manager, portfolio director, and responsible for the day-to-day communications between Glenn and our team here. And then, are y'all hearing an echo? I'm sorry.
No, we're not.
Okay, good. And then we have Clay Craft and Ford Fitz. They are retail recruiters and are responsible for Helotes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my role and what I do, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe and let him talk to you about the research, and then we'll turn it over to Clay to talk about the retail recruitment and our processes moving forward. We were initially engaged by Helotes back in October, and since that time we've been conducting a detailed market analysis. We've been running research reports, and my primary role in that has been reaching out to local brokers and property owners and cataloging information on the available sites. It's important to have site-specific information on all of the viable retail development and recruitment opportunities within the market. So since our initial engagement, I have reached out to just about every broker who has a listing in the market and have attempted to or have connected with property owners who have properties that we feel are viable to retail development. I'm going to turn it over to Joe now and let him talk to you about some of the research and our process thus far.
Great, thanks, Ashton. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Good. I hope that my name rings a bell. I was down in Helotes last July presenting to the board, and at that time I talked a lot about the quality of our team, and I'm excited that you're being introduced to a number of our key players on tonight's call. I get to cover what I'll call the less than exciting component of tonight's presentation, and that's the research. Ashton, can you forward that slide? Thank you. And I think it would work best, everyone, if there's a couple of breaks within the presentation where I'll ask for questions. So if y'all can just hold your questions until we get to those points, that would be great. So I'm going to cover some of the demographic information, some of the psychographic information, the peer analysis, some retail-specific data elements relative to Helotes. You know, to call this a strategic plan document, in the public sector world, that conjures up probably images of large three-ring binders with lots of boring text and charts and graphs. This is not what that is. This is a living, breathing document that will change and evolve over time as Helotes changes, as the trade area changes, as the world of retail changes. We will be able to modify our strategic plan so that we're constantly finding new opportunities and getting Helotes in front of people that need to hear about you. So there's really two phases to the research. Next slide, please. Two phases to the research. There's the quantitative assessment of the market, and then there's the real estate assessment. And so on the quantitative side, I'm just going to top line this information. We're not going to get down into the weeds tonight, just in the interest of time and everyone's sanity. If we do have data wonks in Helotes that we really want to dig into that information, all of the underlying data is available on your Basecamp site. So Glenn has access to that, Rick has access to that, and if you all want to dig down into the underlying data, you can absolutely do that. So let's talk trade areas. I've got bad news. Retailers and restaurants don't necessarily care about the political entity of Helotes, Texas. What they care about is the trade area that would be served by a location within Helotes. And so we've carved up three initial trade areas for tonight's presentation. There's a 5-minute drive time, which is that blue polygon on the map. There's a 10-minute drive time, which is the yellow polygon. And then there's a custom trade area. And the good news is these three key demographic variables, population growth, median household income growth, household counts, and daytime population are all growing, and that's a good thing. We work with a lot of cities in other parts of the country where each of those are in decline, and that doesn't mean that there's no retail opportunity. It just means that it makes our job a little bit more difficult to get over the perception that the market is dead. That is clearly not the case in Helotes. You're part of a vibrant market, a great retail market in the greater San Antonio market, and you can see that when you start to look at drive times, there's a lot more to Helotes than just the small population you've got within the city limit level. The custom trade area is a trade area that was developed by Clay and Mead Silsby, one of our partners, based on their in-market visit to Helotes. Clay, do you want to just kind of walk through how we arrived at that trade area?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a custom trade area, when we're looking at that, we're trying to determine the primary trade area for Helotes. So, some retailers will look at, radius rings, some will look at drop times. But, kind of what we can do is, look at the market, not through just a square. We can kind of look at it and kind of paint the picture and tell a narrative of Helotes. So, by creating a custom trade area using natural, physical, mental barriers, just getting a feel of the market, we kind of feel like this is a good jump point for the custom trade area. So we don't feel Helotes, pulls strong south of the loop. We feel most of the commerce and shoppers will be coming from the north and northwest. So this just kind of gives you an outline of that. But you look at the custom trade area. A medium household income of $94,000 is super strong. So I mean that's one of the main things we'll be talking to retailers. The population drops off, but it's still a strong population within that custom trade area. So we feel like the demographics are set up really well to paint a great picture for Helotes and get us in the door with a lot of retailers and get some good feedback. So that's just kind of how we came up with that.
Well, I think that, thanks, Clay. I think what's important about that is that we deployed very experienced retail real estate folks to the market. Glenn and Rick had an opportunity to sit down with me and Clay, and that's 30 plus years of retail real estate experience, and knowing how to position sites and markets is a really critical piece of our process. Next slide, please. So let's talk quickly about psychographics. Psychographics they've been described as demographics on steroids. It's all of the typical kind of demographic variables, but it goes a level deeper. It goes into lifestyles, attitudes, behaviors, and financial characteristics of the households within the trade area. And Esri is the company that developed Tapestry, and every household in America falls into one of their 66 segments based on your lifestyle, attitudes, behaviors, and financial characteristics. It just so happens that in the Helotes trade area, you've got a lot of what they call savvy suburbanites. We didn't name the segment. That's an Esri deal. They all have these kind of goofy little names. And you can see high-level demographics at the top part of this slide, but if you look down into the market profile, at some of the lifestyle, attitudinal, behavioral, and financial characteristics, this is where it gets pretty neat. So, and I suspect there are people in the room in Helotes tonight who fit right into this segment. You're physically fit. You pursue a number of sports from skiing to golf. You invest in sports gear and exercise equipment. You're foodies. You like to cook and prefer natural or organic food products. You're investors. You're do-it-yourself home improvement people. And you can start to think about the applications of that information when we're out talking to retailers. If it's a grocery store and we can highlight some of the lifestyle and behavioral and consumer purchasing characteristics of the household, that becomes a very important part of the story. So that's why we use psychographics. We're going to use any kind of data that is out there and available that's going to help better position Helotes to the retailer or the restaurant that we're talking to. And that also includes tweaking the trade area on an as-needed basis. So if we're talking with a retailer and they say, you know what, in a market like San Antonio, I think I'm pulling more from like a 9-minute drive time. Well, we can, our research folks can go pull the data at whatever geography the retailer wants to see. The trade area is the only variable that we can control. We can make it bigger, we can make it smaller, we can't change the demographics, we can't change the psychographics. So again, it's about understanding how retailers analyze market and making sure that we're presenting the most compelling case possible. Next slide, please. And here's just some more information on the Savvy Suburbanite. You can see these indexes there. What that is saying is these are indexed against the average American household, so they spend on average 78% more than the average American household on housing, 67% more on food, 16% more on apparel and services. They spend a lot of money on entertainment and recreation, education. Again, this just gives us a deeper understanding of the customer base within the Helotes trade area, and we're going to use that in our conversations with retailers. Next slide, please. This is just a map that shows where those Savvy Suburbanites live. Stands to reason. There's a lot of them in major metropolitan areas around the country. San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Southern California, the Northeast, all over the place. Median household incomes are strong. Median net worth over $500,000. These are really attractive customers that we've got in Helotes. Next slide, please. So let me talk quickly about the peer and gap analysis. This is a tool that enables us to find other. Go ahead. There you go. Other trade areas in the region that look like Helotes, and we do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, the name recognition of Helotes may not be as strong as, say, Plano, Texas, or Allen, Texas. But people and retailers need to know that you're a strong retail trade area. So these 5 markets are the peers to Helotes: Rockwall, Allen, Grand Prairie, all in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, Westminster and Aurora, Colorado, and the Denver metro. And you can see how they stack up, how you stack up to them across several of these key variables: residential population, population growth, daytime pop, median household income, market supply, and retail shopping center, CLA, or gross leasable area. The other thing this enables us to do is start to take a look at those markets and identify retailers that consistently locate in markets like Helotes that may not be in Helotes. That gives us an immediate conversation to have with those retailers and restaurants, because we can say, look, you're in 4 of the 6 markets that closely resemble Helotes. That's why you need to be considering it. Not only that, we've got a great retail site that fits all of your site criteria. Next slide. So this slide shows the actual number of retailers at these categories in Helotes and in your collection of peer cities. You can see that you've got more food and dining than the others. You've got fewer computer and electronic stores, which is probably a good thing, because that's a segment that is declining and contracting. So this, again, just gives us an ability to kind of see where Helotes is relative to its peer group in terms of actual retailers and restaurants on the ground there. Next slide. So retail gaps and voids, these tools enable us to put a dollar value on the sales that are being lost out of the trade area at the category level. This is for that custom polygon, the red trade area that I showed you on the map earlier. And you can see that there's more than $250 million leaving the Helotes trade area that we need to start chipping away at. And if you think about it, it's going to be tough to get 100% of that, but if you could get 10% of that, that's $25 million worth of sales happening in Helotes. That would represent, almost $250,000 annually back to the city. So that's the object of the exercise, is to start chipping away at some of these gaps that you've got in the market currently. So we're going to take all of the other quantitative research, and then we're going to couple it with the on-the-ground real estate assessment, which is what Clay's going to get into, and we're going to back into retailers and restaurants who fit the profile of both the demographics of the Helotes trade area, and we've got available real estate. It doesn't do you any good for us to get all excited about certain retail concepts if we don't have a place to put them. So you can't have a comprehensive retail recruitment strategy without both the quantitative piece, and the real estate piece. Next slide, please. So this is that same gap data represented as a pie chart. You can see there are some significant categories that we're leaking in. Those represent good opportunities for us to go have conversations immediately about why Helotes makes sense. Next slide. So I've covered that very quickly because I think the more exciting part of the presentation is in the who are the retailers, who are the restaurants, what's our plan to bring them into Helotes. But I want to make sure that everybody's clear on everything that we've covered tonight. Any questions, comments, thoughts about anything that I've covered thus far?
I've got one. It's Pat Wooten. Your 10-minute drive time area is highly exaggerated with the traffic we have. If you want to make that realistic, to the west, you're going to have to pull that back to Braun Road, to the east to Babcock Road, and to the south to Prue Road. You've got to show it almost all the way to 410 into Leon Valley. That would take you 25 minutes a lot of times a day to get there instead of 10 minutes. That area, I don't know if it has any material effect on the analysis you're doing, but if you want to be realistic about 10-minute drive area, you've got to constrict that area a great deal.
Yeah, so Ford, I don't know if you want to address the drive time software or not. I think the thing to understand is that that is a blended drive time trade area. It's not taken during rush hour. It's not taken during off-peak hours. It's a blended rate, and most drive time softwares are going to pull a similar geography. Now we understand there are things happening locally that might impact that. Which again, I would have to defer to you on that.
Well, I don't know that it has any material effect.
Yeah.
That's just a comment. I don't know that it has any material effect on your analysis.
Yeah, and I'll say that it doesn't. Our software is used by retailers, so our data will line up with what the retailers look for. So when we're talking, we're on the same page with those guys. So you're correct. I mean, during rush hour and due to traffic, it might take longer. But the bottom line is we're able to speak the same language to the retailers, and it's not an obstacle.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, Clay.
All right.
All you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Clay Kraft. I'm the Director of Retail Development for Retail Strategies, and I'll be heading up the retail recruitment team for Helotes. So I'm going to get into the real estate analysis and the good stuff. The stuff y'all came here to see. So just kind of going to go over a little bit of trends in the market. 2015. You really saw the fast casual restaurants, which is going to be, your high quality, sit down, but quick meals. So you think your Panera, you think your Chipotle, things like that. Grocery, organic grocers are on the rise. Organic and discount are really taking the market by storm and definitely moving towards the San Antonio and Helotes area. So we feel like there's good opportunity there. But what you see contracting is bookstores, electronics, office, your sit-down, casual dinings. You think of a concept like, Logan's Roadhouse or Red Lobster. Those guys are doing maybe one store a year. So that type of sit-down restaurant is really in decline right now. So kind of as we're going through this, just to set this up, you're going to see a heavy amount of the fast casual restaurants kind of dominating the restaurant space, and that's just really what the market's dictating to us. So that kind of explains that. But planned expansion for 2016, restaurants is still going to be driving most of the retail development. So a lot of our focus is on restaurants. So boots on the ground, or affectionately known as BOG tour, is when we send real estate professionals in the market. So the goal of that is to get an unbiased opinion of the market. So we want to look at the market the same way a real estate director or tenant rep broker would the first time they come to the market. So driving the market, getting a feel for the site, getting a feel for the traffic flow, traffic patterns. Just really getting a feel for the site, and so we can come back and explain the market and have meaningful conversations with retailers. So that was performed back in December. We came in, we cataloged a bunch of properties, identified what we think are the immediate opportunities, and then also some long-term development and redevelopment opportunities, because this is a partnership and we want to think short-term, but also think for the future. So So this is a current retail overview. This is just a great little one-pager to as a first touch with the retailer. If you know anything about retailers, they like to cluster. They like synergy. They don't want to pioneer a site. So, retailers want to know where their competition are and where their co-tenants are. So, they want to position themselves in the market to be, typically based off one of those factors. So, this is just a great little icebreaker for a retailer. Focus properties, obviously, Bandera is the, it's a very, very linear corridor, but, most of the properties are along Bandera. There's a few maybe kind of long-term plays off of Bandera, we feel, but, I definitely think the immediate focus is some key properties there along Bandera, close to Walmart and working your way north. And this is just a visual representation of some of these properties. So kind of get into our recruitment process. So, recruiting retail is not easy. It is a we like to call it a grind. It's definitely a process. So there's a lot of layers to this, but we're going to represent Helotes at over 9 ICSC shows, which is the International Council of Shopping Centers. It's kind of where where all the players in the real estate industry, commercial real estate industry, get together, put their heads together, and talk about deals. So it's a great opportunity for us to get Helotes in front of a tremendous amount of retailers in a short amount of time. So we got Las Vegas show coming up in May, which is going to be a big one for you guys, and then really Dallas and Atlanta would be the other two big ones, and those are in the fall. So we talk about overcome, objections, having to look at the Helotes market in comparison to San Antonio. You have a tremendous amount of retail, just south of you in San Antonio. If you go around the loop, it seems like every intersection and corridor has a world-class retail. So kind of painting the story to retailers to take a chance on Helotes and having us present the guys. I'm getting some weird feedback. Is that just on our end?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, just really telling the story and the narrative of Helotes, and making sure the retailers just aren't looking at Helotes through a square box. Connect. As Ashton said, she's connected with basically every property owner and broker that has property listed in the market. So that gives us great intel on the market. Gives us good connections. We can share information with them. We can tell them who we're talking to, and they can kind of feed information back to us. And it turns out to be a good partnership typically with the local guys. Leverage. Our company we have work for cities all across the country. I'm primarily focused in the Midwest and Southwest, so I'm getting the feel for retail that's maybe in Oklahoma and moving south to Texas. So we have a huge network of real estate professionals that we have personal relationships with, and that allows us to effectively recruit retail to your market and communicate. Just sharing the knowledge, and we're kind of a facilitator of ideas and information. So we're really just teeing up the opportunities between the property owners and the real estate directors, and initiate. It's a continuous, like I said, continuous aggressive outreach, but it really is just staying on. It's typically not the first or second or third call to a retailer, but the fourth or fifth follow up. So you got to be patient with it, but you also have to be persistent. That's how you get deals done. So I'm going to show you guys the marketing guide that we've created for retailers. And typically, anytime that we contact a retailer, especially via email or have a face-to-face visit with them, we'll send this document, and it's just a 2-page document that's got basically everything a retailer needs to know to quickly evaluate a market as a whole. It's got the trade areas on there. It's got the basic demographics that they want to see, gap analysis, has has some of our properties on there, and also gives quick facts about the community. But it's just a good one pager to send to a retailer. Okay, so now I want to get into the retail prospects, and this is by no means a comprehensive list of all the retailers we'll be talking to. We just feel these are the main ones that fit into the gap categories that we have identified that are in Helotes. So, you look at the main gap is going to be grocery stores. You got the Goliath HEB Center just south of you. So what we've kind of tried to do is focus on some of the organics and discounts that are not, immediately in the market. I know a few of these are in San Antonio, but if you kind of look at the way that some of these organic groceries are patterned in Houston, Dallas, you can kind of see how it would fit together as they expand across San Antonio. We feel like there's a tremendous opportunity to get another grocery store in Helotes, whether it be a Whole Foods or a Lucky's Market, which is based out of Colorado. They're rapidly expanding across the country, and they do great philanthropic work when they come into a community. Just a great retailer. Harps is they're Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri right now, but we've got a great relationship. We know that they want to expand into Texas, in the coming up years. So that's just the type of information that we can portray and relay to you guys, and keep them. When these guys do get ready to come to Texas, we'll make sure that Helotes is on the top of their radar. Health and personal care, several Walgreens in San Antonio. But we feel like Helotes can handle another pharmacy. Snap and Anytime are two of the main players right now in the small space fitness category. And moving on to restaurants, kind of what you see here is a heavy dose of the fast casual. You've got a couple of the QSRs on there, but all these retailers right here, we've got tremendous rapport with them, and we're definitely going to be getting the best sites in front of them. Building material, garden equipment. Ace is very active right now. Typically looking for a second generation space. So that's kind of an obstacle sometimes. Same goes for Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight's a $1 rent payer. So sometimes opportunities and sites are not immediately apparent with those guys, but it's maybe a little bit longer down the road play. Automotive parts and supply, we think the market can probably handle one more of those. Furniture and home goods, these are really big box plays. Definitely a down the road play, but we feel like one of those retailers could fit into the market. Sporting goods, we've already got really good traction with one of the sporting good concepts. We're actively working with them right now in the market to get them a site, so we're pretty excited about that. Electronics is one of those categories that's in decline. Aaron's is not really doing anything right now, but we're going to keep a relationship with them, and when they do start expanding, we'll be right on top of them. But the department in clothing, these are kind of smaller box, but Cato and Rouge, Shoe Carnival, they're very active. They're coming out with all different types of concepts to fit different markets. So we feel like that's an immediate play. And Dollar Tree, they're very active, and we kind of want to find a unique entertainment concept to fit in Helotes. I know Alamo closed, not too long ago in the market, just north of you guys. But you look at a concept like Flick's Brewhouse. We feel like Helotes needs and can support one of the cool entertainment concepts. So that's just a little bit about the retail prospects. And like I said, that's by no means a comprehensive list. That list will change, expand, grow, over time. But we've got our ears to the ground all across the country, so we've got a pretty good feel on who's doing what. But kind of going back to the ICSC shows, this is just a visual representation and map of all the shows we go to. But Helotes will be represented at every one of these shows, but the main shows for you guys are going to be the Vegas, Dallas, and really Chicago and New York are great shows for Nashville because people come from all over the country to talk deals there. And this is our booth from Recon. I think think it's about a 40 by 40 space, so it accommodates a tremendous amount of meetings at one time, and we typically have that thing packed out. It's a really fun and good environment. So a lot of deals and a lot of talks going on in that space. And these are our booths from the Southeast show and Dallas show of last year. And that is it for my portion. So I'm gonna, Joe, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to wrap up with, but
Thanks, Clay. Yeah, I just wanted to mention, Clay referenced the ICSC show in Las Vegas, which comes up at the end of May. Global real estate event, and there will be, 40,000 people there. I want to make sure that we all realize that's a really good place to have initial conversations with a lot of retailers. We're not going to come home with 200,000 square feet of leases ready to go for Helotes, but over time and with our relationships and with the credibility that we've established with these retailers, we're confident that we're going to be able to move the needle in a meaningful fashion for Helotes, and we're really excited about the partnership, and we've already had a lot of really good conversations on your behalf. We'll continue to do that. Is there any questions, anything that we covered or haven't covered that you're curious about? Have we checked all the boxes this evening? Are we still here?
Yes.
No, you're still here.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm on a mobile phone and I'm getting a little feedback, so I just wanted to make sure we were all together.
I don't believe at this time there are questions.
Okay, well, very good. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to allow us to present. We're certainly excited about the opportunities going forward, and we'll be in touch. And Birmingham folks, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks a lot,
thank you
guys.
very much.
Take care.
That was an interesting presentation. I think we need to get hard copies of it where we can look at it a little closer. If you get us a set of those, Glenn. And go through with a little hard to read what was up there on the board, but sounds like they've got some good ideas, and I think we're going in the right direction. Hopefully we'll get some good results out of it. Item 8 is, Drew brought up for discussion, is discussion and action on possibly producing another Helotes area phone book for the city of Helotes. We did that back in, 2011 or something?
I think it was 2009, 2011.
Yeah. And that
9
one,
and then 11.
Yes, sir.
if I remember that correctly, the company that put it together was planning, we paid an upfront cost the first year, and then they were gonna generate revenue off of selling Yellow Page ads on it, and they dropped the idea because they never sold enough ads to make it economically feasible to put the thing out. And I think there were some complaints with the list we got of phone numbers was more comprehensive than what Southwestern Bell's list was, and had a lot of numbers in there that people had requested be unlisted numbers that were actually listed in the phone book. Because we cannot get those numbers from Southwestern Bell. We have to get them from an outside source that compiles that, if I remember correctly. I think, Glenn, you checked on some things on that, didn't you?
Glenn, you need to go up to the microphone. You're not mic'd, are you?
Oh, that's live.
We hadn't had an opening to see,
Do we have a motion to discuss item 8?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second? Okay, motion made by Drew, seconded by Diane to discuss item 8. Since we're already pretty well into the discussion, I guess we'll let Glenn continue with it.
Yes, sir. Some of the other issues I think we had with our phone list was inaccurate numbers as well. I believe even Drew brought that to my attention. After receiving the agenda item request form, I wanted to go out and get some pricing on how much it would cost the EDC to produce another phone book. And just the printing cost alone was almost $9,200. And then you would still have the design, layout, obtaining the list, because we have to purchase those, and then delivery. So in overall cost, we'd probably be in the neighborhood of 15,000, plus or minus.
I need to clarify some things.
Okay.
You couldn't hardly read my writing very much, and I can't type it. I haven't learned how to put it on my computer, so excuse that, but I want to explain a couple of things. The first one that we got, of course, the one from Southwestern Bell was really good. That was in '92. That's when I moved here. And then later on, after we got going in 2009, we said, hey, let's get us a phone book. And we had a marketing company, and we worked with them. And they made a lot of mistakes, but the big thing was they didn't just limit it to Helotes. The big thing is, for me, I want to limit it to just Helotes, not ETJ, not something else. And the base, I think, would be the best, would be the Bear County tax rolls. I don't know any other. Now, the problem is, one of the problems is, over probably 20 to 25% of the people here in residents in Helotes may just have a cell phone. Okay, so I've looked at that problem and I said, well, we could put it on our website and say, if you want to be added, call this number, leave your phone number, and leave that. Now, if they don't want to, and it's private, and they don't want to, that's fine, that's their business. And then we could also put it in the Echo a few times, just to see if we get some of that. Now, if they don't, then we'll still have Bear County, Helotes residents. So, that's one thing. Now, a pro to it, a con to it is, a lot of people say, well, everybody's got a cell phone and they don't even mess with a computer much, and they go to Google and they get their name and they get the phone number and they don't care about a phone book. I don't believe that here in Helotes. I believe there's an old enough bunch of us that would still like to have a phone book. Now, y'all may not agree with me, then that's your choice, of course. But if we could do that, now the first time, I have a niece through Patsy that got us a disc and some other things from AT&T to match up with our first phone book. And we were able to do that and probably help some. Now I don't know who has AT&T and who has Magic Jack or who has what, you know. But the phone, the baseline to me is still Bear County tax rolls. So I'd like to see it done. And if we can't afford the money now, maybe we could put it in the budget next year if any of y'all agree. And if you don't agree, then fine, I'll just stop my discussion about it. Thank you.
Well, I'm just gonna chime in on your comments, Drew. I mean, for me, I've seen the phone books come out, you know, I've seen them all coming out. And personally, I don't use them, but that doesn't mean they're not being used. You know, I'm really neither here nor there on it, but I think if you're passionate about it and you think it's something that should come forward, I'm not opposed to that.
Okay.
Diane?
I really don't think the majority of people use a phone book. If you drive, when they're delivering the yellow pages and the white pages, and you drive down any residential street, you see them out there, and they've been rained on, and they've been wind blown, and they're just not picked up, or they're picked up and thrown away. So I'm opposed to the idea, depending on the price. House divided. I don't use one, but my husband lives by his. He loves the Helotes phone books that have come out.
I agree that, Drew, there's a group of folks in this town that use it a lot. It's, you know, it's the common form of, phone numbers for them. I'm not one of them, but I know, there's a group of folks out there that do like it.
Well, I've talked to a few of the board members of our city council, and 3 of them have cell phones, but they say, we'll put our phone number in there. If it's approved and y'all get going, we'll call and put our phone number in there. Because we want people to know who we are and where we can get reached.
The only question I had on it is actually doing a residential phone book is not really within the parameters of what an Economic Development Commission is supposed
Well,
to spend money on.
The tax rolls would also include the businesses, I'm sure.
Well, we've pretty well got all the businesses on the city website already.
Well, I don't know about that for sure.
I think
I'm not satisfied that's true.
Pretty much.
I'll have to check that myself.
Well, I'm not even sure, well,
I
just
talked to
interrupt there.
Lynn about it, and that can be put into like a directory, central directory in the website, where all the businesses in Helotes will come up under that website, an alphabetical listing, or however you want to set it up. It'll take a little programming, but I think it could be done.
And the plus of that is it's gonna be up-to-date numbers as new businesses move in or move out.
And most
Those would be
everybody's in there
up-to-date.
under the virtual tour now. Nearly all the businesses in town did that.
Maybe, I have not checked that myself.
Yeah. It gets pretty neat if you go in there and look at how they're in there, and it could be
I've looked at-
organized where it's
I've
a
looked
little
at
easier
some
for
things,
people
not the
to
businesses
find.
much.
I know we received a hard copy one at one time of all the Helotes businesses, and it was colored, and we have it on the side of the refrigerator, so it's like easily to identify where the place is and what the phone number is. I mean, it's very, I don't know.
Wasn't
We've had
us,
it for a
but-
long time, it just wasn't you, okay. But that was really, it's really
I'd be happy to take a look at it.
we'll bring it.
I think
because
they're
something-
talking,
something
are
like
you talking
that-
about the brochure map?
It's like a brochure map, yes.
Yeah, I think it's.
Okay, if it's,
And it's a great, fast,
like a fridge magnet.
oh no, it's bigger than that, 'cause it has all the rest, everything that's here, retail.
Just to hit the point on residential phone numbers, I know that we can do residential phone numbers within the context of economic development. You know, whether we call it marketing or outreach or community engagement or whatever, we can easily, you know, frame it in such a fashion that it falls within the purview of the EDC. I don't have a problem with that. Regarding the residential numbers, I don't think that's a claim we have to worry about much.
And it is 2016, it's maybe one more go-round, you know, before it's completely, yeah, before it's, yeah.
What are the numbers
Forgotten
again?
about.
How much does this thing cost?
The printing alone is almost 9,200, and then there's still the cost of obtaining the list. The issue I think we may have with Bear County Records, they don't have phone numbers, they'll have addresses, but not a phone number for the resident, is my understanding. And then design, delivery, all that, so
Well,
at this point,
I
my
mean, I
best
think,
guess
I
is 15.
think it needs to be noted, though, that we only have one bid at this point. I mean, we haven't bid this
Oh,
thing out.
correct.
So we would need to go through the bidding process, on this. The thing with the phone numbers, that list was actually bought through you cannot buy a list of phone numbers from AT&T. You have to have a third party that deals in phone numbers, that is supposed to cull through those phone numbers, make sure they're correct, verify them and all that kind of stuff. You buy that list, it's several $1,000s if I recall. I don't know what the number is now. And that's the same list that when you receive telemarketer phone calls, a lot of them get those from there. Because you can be as specific as, well, supposedly as specific as anybody who's over the age of 50 that makes more than a certain amount of money. But those lists are not always accurate. And so when we bought those lists and incorporated them in the phone book, I believe it was correct, you at that time had the contact at AT&T, may still have the contact, and we asked them to go through them. I do remember they were involved, but I can't remember exactly. But we couldn't buy the list directly from AT&T, I know that.
but I don't know if I could do that again. I can try. My niece has retired now. So
Yeah.
she's not active in there.
So we we don't have the option of just, of buying an AT&T list. Let's just put that out. We only have one bid. So we could certainly look at bidding this thing out to see what it would cost. We could also contact AT&T or well, it's AT&T now, because they still are putting out telephone books. Now, whether it's cost effective for them I would much rather have somebody else do it than us. Whether it's cost effective for them to sell advertising just in the Helotes market, I don't know. I suspect they wouldn't just keep it to Helotes. They're gonna look at Northwest Bexar County.
We contacted them when they dropped it, and they wouldn't maintain it.
Okay. So I mean, there's options out there.
Cynthia?
Make an observation. Drew was saying he just wanted.
Can you get the microphone,
Otis.
because people can't hear?
Not gonna get a company, it's just
Drew said he just wanted the Helotes Incorporated area, correct?
So,
And that would, well, there's two thoughts on that. That's what, about 4,000, 5,000 family households. So it's going to be a lot less than the 78023 zip code, which is, I think, mostly what we had in there.
Yes.
I think it's easier for them to get the whole zip code than it is to go, because we'd have to give them the parameters and the streets just of the incorporated area. The other thing is, if you're going to have a phone book like that, I think a lot of people consider some of the ETJ, they consider themselves part of Helotes. So you're going to leave out some probably significant, especially businesses, I would think. But if you have less, if you have just the incorporated part, that's going to make the telephone directory smaller, so it'll be less expensive. I don't know how many pages you're bidding and all that.
The same as our last one, 200 pages, the 2011.
So I guess my next thing is, how much less than, how many less pages would it make it to just do the incorporated, and if that's even optimal to just do the incorporated town?
Yeah, I think what Mr. Helms is looking for tonight, and what staff would be looking for, is the concept of whether you want to do it or not. And then we need to go back to the drawing board and really figure out what we would need to do it at the staff level, where we would need to get the numbers, how, all that kind of stuff. Because I haven't looked at this in 5 to 7 years. I don't even know if they still sell the list, although I imagine they do. So, what we're looking for tonight is a yay or a nay as you want to pursue this. And remember, if you decide that you want to pursue this, this is something that would then need to go to council, because it wasn't incorporated in the original budget. Or you could hold off and incorporate it into FY17's budget and then have council approve it at that time.
Okay,
Maybe obsolete by 2017.
do
I don't know.
do we have a motion to proceed or direction?
Not here.
I'm not gonna make my own motion.
No, not at this time.
No, not at this time.
There's something we can bring back. If there's no motion at this time, we can possibly go ahead and, as we get further into the year, closer to the next budget year, maybe do some more research on it and see what we can come up with. And if we can come up with a viable plan, maybe incorporate it in the budget for the October budget.
Yeah, I would have liked to have remembered that back
Yeah.
in July, but I didn't.
So I guess the comment then would be to have staff bring it up at budget time so we can revisit it.
Or we possibly put it on the calendar to look at it in July, and if we want to discuss it again and see if we want to get some bids and do some actual research and see what's actually available to be able to, you're looking at parts of 2 different zip codes. You've got a San Antonio zip code and 78023 to try to pick out of.
Another thing, by then, we might know more about the ETJ.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's do that. Put it on
Put it on the calendar, we'll bring it
particular
back.
to look at it on the July meeting. Okay, item 9 is something I think that the council is getting ready to look at. It's we've got on here a resolution supporting the allowance of outdoor food truck parks and bar facilities within the Old Town Helotes Special Use District or Special Use Schedule. And that is, Lynn prepared a resolution in case it's up for discussion by the board. If we want to support it, that's fine. If we don't, we're not saying because we've drawn a resolution that we're in favor of supporting it. That's up to y'all's discussion, and Glenn can give you a little more background on exactly what's involved. It's actually 2 issues.
I can go over it a little bit. I'm going to have Glenn bring up, well, first off, this issue came up several years.
Motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion to discuss and seconded. So go ahead.
Okay. This issue came up several years ago, and specifically it was related to Buddy Cook's property where they had the driving range north of us where the new residential subdivision is going in. And at that time, there was one individual that wanted to put in a food truck, trailer, something like that. And that went before, I believe, P&Z and City Council. At that time, council elected not to allow mobile food vending except for during special events like we have at Marketplace. It is my opinion that a sufficient amount of time has lapsed since then, and we have seen this surgence of food truck parks that are done extremely well. And families with kids, tend to like these places, and I'm being blunt, I'm one of them, because you can kind of let your kids go on jungle gyms and all of that and still have adult time with friends. They have really good food in most instances, and most of them have some bar facilities. And by bar, I don't know if I've ever been to one that had liquor, but they certainly have beer at a lot of these places in addition to margaritas and wine. So I thought it was appropriate, since we were already addressing another issue in Old Town for medical office space, to lump in food truck, what are we calling this exactly? Food truck parks and bar facilities as consideration in front of P&Z and City Council. So I wanted to show y'all, let's go to the block first. The block, this is the website for the Block Food Truck and Park. This is, or patio bar, whatever they're calling it. This is the one that's near UTSA, and it's extremely popular with the college crowd and the young professional crowd, I would say. If you go to Google Maps, you can see what it looks like from an aerial view, but that's a good picture right there. You can see what it looks like on, I believe this is probably a movie night that they're having there, just like we have at the park facility or here at the municipal complex. You can see what these food trucks look like. You can see the grounds. These are true developments now. These are not just put up a mobile food vending truck that sells tacos or anything like that, like you see at construction sites. I mean, these are themed food trailers that either have on-site sanitary sewer and water, or they go to San Antonio Metro Health facilities where they dump their solids. They have grease traps, so on and so forth. They have signage. These are really more of entertainment areas now, which in my opinion is what we are trying to attract. Number one, we're trying to attract people into Old Town. But two, we're trying to make it sort of an entertainment district where people can have fun, relax in Helotes. The other facility this is the one that my wife and I go to quite a bit, is called the Point Park and Eats, and this is the one that's off of Bernie Stage Road. This is not as developed as the block, but it is equally well attended. If you go to the Google Maps, you can see it's really on the side of Bernie Stage Road. It's an old house that they converted into a bar and seating area, and of course most of the activity occurs at night. You can see they have people there that are singing on, I believe, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sundays, and then they have the all-important jungle gym, swing, and slide facility. This is the bar. This is the old house that it's in. This is the bar facility that's on the outside, and it's just, you saw in the presentation by Retail Strategies that we are considered savvy suburbanites. Well, in my opinion, this is what suburbanites are looking for on a Friday or Saturday. They want to go someplace, they want to hang with their friends, and they want to eat some good food, and they want to have some beer. And I think that as long as it's done well, goes through planning and zoning like any commercial development would, goes to council if there are any signage requests or things like that, that it would be an asset to the Old Town District. And so I have no idea how this is going to be received in front of P&Z and City Council, but when I asked the mayor if he would be willing to at least support putting it on the agenda, he agreed to it. So that's where we are. So tonight, we would be looking for y'all to adopt a resolution of support that would then go with the packet to both P&Z and to City Council in their discussion and consideration of the item.
Okay, just a point or two of clarification. These businesses that are food trucks, when they're doing alcohol or food sales, does the city of Helotes actually get the sales tax?
Yes.
Okay. And just for clarification, the maps you're looking at, the orange area, the arrows pointing there are not pointing to particular locations. It's saying that whole area that's in the orange on both sides of Old Bandera Road are what would be affected. That's the areas that this could be approved in, this whole area. And the one doctor's office, there's a concierge medicine office that's going in down next to Antique Depot, right by B Daddy's. That is one of these where you pay him $2,500 a year or $5,000 a year for the privilege of going to that doctor, and he's more available to you for whatever you need. But my doctor went to that and had to change doctors, but that seems to be the trend they're all doing. I don't think that doesn't really have any effect on anything, having that doctor's office in there.
I have a question. The closest food truck park to us, to this area, is UTSA area?
Well, yes, to the north of us, there is a smaller food truck park. I have not visited it. I know that Picosso's Peanuts, yes.
Yeah, Peanuts.
And I don't know if it's well attended or not. I've been by it and it doesn't. It is? Okay. I don't think it's a permanent, some of these places are permanent locations for food trucks. It depends on how well they do on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Sometimes it's not worth it for them to drive around. And sometimes parks don't allow them to drive around. They want them to be more of a permanent type establishment. I think the generic business model is these food trucks pay rent to the developer or the landowner that provides the facilities that people want to be there for, i.e. the playgrounds and the bar facilities and most of the time the food trucks, as a matter of fact, I've never been to a food truck park that sells beer or wine, but the beer or wine sales are through the owner of the property, and that's how they make their money, in addition to the lease spaces, if you will, for these food trucks.
Yeah. Keep the money. Keep the big money.
Questions for Rick? Kathy?
No, I'm good with it. I like it.
Diane?
Yeah, I think so.
I like it. I think if it's done well, I think it's a great idea.
Keith?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'd like to see it happen.
Okay. Drew? Then if,
I have names already. The Corn Husk, the Ranch, Marnock Corners. You know, I'm just sitting here making names.
You're jumping ahead a
Okay.
lot.
I am. I'm already naming it.
if we want to support this, we need a motion to adopt the resolution that you have in the books, the resolution of the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation affirming support for amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, et cetera, use regulations in the Old Town Helotes Special District to allow outdoor food truck parks and bar facilities within the mixed-use and service village. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Diane made the motion, Kathy seconds. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Just, staff, can you go ahead and do what you need to with that to get it out to, I think the city council's P and Z's addressing this first. Glenn, this is going to P and Z first, pretty soon, isn't
I
it?
believe it goes March 1st
March
to
1st,
P and Z, and then City Council March 10th.
March 10th, okay. Okay, discussion and action, item 10, an election of secretary for the EDC Board of Directors is described in the Articles of Incorporation. Kathy Oliver was our secretary, and I think Glenn pretty well functions as a secretary and does the minutes and the paperwork. We need somebody to step up, or since Carl's not here, we could nominate him to be secretary and elect him since he can't defend himself.
I agree, I like
I
that.
agree.
Carl, we'll just do
We
that.
call that a motion? I think that's a motion, yeah.
But you call and tell him if he's elected.
Does anybody want to volunteer to do it? No, Diane, you're too busy. Kathy, you're gonna,
Oh, no, not right now.
There's not a lot of effort goes into being
you're already,
secretary.
know,
you're already
then
vice
you wanna do it?
president. There's
You're
really
vice
no-
I was the
president. Oh,
secretary
okay.
before I became the VP, so
Okay.
I can't do
Oh,
both.
taking of the minutes?
No,
Well,
No?
no. The secretary is purely a, well, I don't want to say title.
placeholder.
It is required by state statute that we have a secretary for the corporation documents, but that is
sign 'em.
it. Staff handles everything else.
Really do much of
Just sign
anything.
it.
President
That's it,
of
you
one,
sign it.
treasurer of another, sure.
Awesome.
Go.
There it is.
Good for
Where'd that
you.
come from?
Good for you.
Somebody want to make a nomination?
I nominate Diane Anderson, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Second?
As secretary.
I second that.
Okay, Kathy has seconded and
Nominated second.
nominated and seconded for Diane Anderson to be the secretary. She needs another job of the Economic Development Commission. Do we have any
Oh.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Welcome
thank
to the
you.
team.
Yes.
Yeah, if it doesn't
Congratulations,
turn out
Diane.
like you said, I'm gonna be visiting with you.
You just have to sign it. Sign the meeting, the minutes are.
Okay, the only thing I think we have left is staff reports, and I just wanted to make a comment to the board. I've talked to the mayor last week, and if we want to come up with any potential names for appointment to the Economic Development Commission, the mayor said he would be more than willing to entertain those names. Of course, his decision will still be his and the council's on who the new board member is, but think about it, and if anybody has any names they think might be good, that would be willing to serve, get the information to Glenn, they would need to turn an application in to the city secretary to be considered, and with that, you can have the staff reports.
Okay, the first item on the staff report.
All right, Keith's gonna have to leave, he has to go, pick his son up, he's late picking him up now. We got through the meeting, everything's covered, thank you.
Good, thanks. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I'll send you everything you need to start signing things.
Okay. I have plenty of pens.
The first item was the State Highway 16 Water and Sewer Project. LNV Engineering was not able to get me the report before today's meeting, but all the subcontractor work has been done on the plans. But my understanding was they were making a couple of, waiting on actually stamps from Young Brothers.
Young Engineering.
Yeah, Professional Resources. And then they were gonna stamp the plans and then get them off to both SAWS and TxDOT to begin the review process. And again, that could take, 3 to 4 weeks for the review. And then the project would be able to be actually let for construction. The second one on there.
Oh, let me follow up on that. So essentially, what we have here is the project is done from an engineering perspective. SAWS, we are not anticipating any issues with SAWS review. However, there may be some issues with tree preservation and alignment issues with TxDOT. The mayor drafted a letter on the city's behalf to TxDOT, to their district engineer several months ago on the sticking points, if you will. TxDOT has discretion via state statute to either sort of massage the rules a little bit, if you will. Particularly, we're trying to make the case that this is a municipality doing the work for economic development purposes, that this is not a commercial development project. So we're trying to make the argument public and private. So I'm not foreseeing any issues with saws, and I think you said 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. I'll be thankful if they get done with their review within 2 months, and that includes TxDOT as well. So I don't foresee anything with saws, but we may have some issues with TxDOT, which we'll have to have some subsequent meetings with TxDOT to address those. We're in February. I think a realistic expectation would probably be first part of June before we were able to let the project and bid it out. I think we originally said we were trying to do like February to let it, but that's not happening at this point. So, but we're still, within the next few months, we'll be able to let the project, which it's been a long couple of years.
The next item on the report is the Helotes Creek Linear Park Project. What I handed out just a few minutes ago is an update from Terra Design Group, kind of giving you where they stand on the project and then the next steps. They are at 95% plans on the project. The one thing that was, and is still holding them back just a little bit, is the threatened and endangered species report. There's been 3 areas identified by TxDOT that they wanted further exploration into to make sure that they are not habitat for any endangered species. Our environmental biologist still doesn't see any issues with it. So we're looking, I believe, at a July let date. Initially, it was going to be May, if I recall.
Yes.
So just getting pushed back a couple of months so far on this project. Are there any questions?
Let me add on some stuff to that. The easement acquisition is probably the hardest part of this. And at this point, we cannot do, staff is a little frustrated because we can't proceed with those easements and send them to council for approval or to the homeowners for approval, because the environmental has to be at least blessed by the powers that be at TxDOT before we can finalize the easement, because you can't predetermine a trail route or an easement without the environmental completed. So I think that we are a little bit behind, honestly, in getting those easements completed. We were trying to get them done sometime in January. Now it's February 16th or 17th, whatever today is. So we are a little bit behind there. That is why TxDOT has pushed the let date back to July. The other thing that's important is we currently have an inquiry with Congressman Joaquin Castro's office, because the original contract that we signed with TxDOT said that we had 4 years from the date that the Texas Transportation Commission approved the project funding, okay? That was done in 2013. So theoretically, we should have until 2017, March of 2017, to let the project and begin making payments to the contractor who's doing it. At the very, at least, the worst would be to spend all of the money by March 2017. TxDOT has revised that and saying that we have to let the project by July of this year in order to get any of the monies, which doesn't make sense to me, because it doesn't coincide with the contract that we have with with TxDOT. Now, I'm not saying that we were trying to delay the project past July of this year. We want to get the project done. We're trying to give have the congressman's office look into this and ultimately come on our side by saying you have until 2017 to finalize everything and get the project going. To allow us some additional wiggle room in the way of time, particularly with these easements, because while everything is set in stone, well, everything is agreed upon now, my biggest fear is in a month, we start doing these easement documents, and then a private property owner says, oh, wait a second, I've changed my mind. Well, that is, I don't think that's gonna happen, but it could, and so the sooner we get these easements done, the better I'll feel about it. That's the bottom line. But we're making progress. I mean, they're at 95%. This certainly is not, this is really more of a TxDOT environmental issue that's holding this project up, and that's because they're treating this project as if it were a major highway project, but that's because we're using federal money. So.
The last item was the commercial development update. So I have listed at the top several of the new businesses that have come in or changed names recently. Helotes Marketplace Antiques, which was in Old Town Helotes, is now Country Elegance. We had two centers over here at this front building on FM 1560 and Circle A, Eagle Ford Graphics and Janus Custom Homes that opened up shop. We also have a new salon and barber in Old Town, Rosie's Hill Country Beauty Salon and Barber. By the way, she'll be having her grand opening March 5th at 11. I will be sending that flyer out to everybody. And we also have on the shops at Old Town, which is where Wine 101 is located, a coffee shop coming in, the Cracked Mug. They're working on interior renovations right now.
Cute name. It is.
Are there any questions?
I can see it on my
That's it on my end.
Questions?
No. Good.
Anybody have any old business? Nope. We will adjourn the meeting of the Economic Development Commission at 8:17.